Hello, and welcome to the 2022 Robofest Game Judge Training for our 2022 game, Oceanbots. My name is Elmer Santos. I am the Robofest Assistant Director, and I will be conducting the training. This is our agenda. We're going to review the game mission, review the field setup and placing the objects, unknown tasks and factors in the 30-minute work time, how to start and end the rounds, violations, scoring, general rules and restrictions, and finally some frequently asked questions and their answers. Game synopsis. The goal is to move 2 turtles, which are blue blocks, and 6 trash objects, which are the red blocks, from the table onto their respective targets, and to also bring 2 of the turtles on board the robot. You can see here, this is sort of before and after photos. This is what a typical game setup looks before. And then if you are successful in getting all the points, it should look something like this, with all the red objects in the black target zone, 2 of the blue objects in the green target zone, and then 2 of them on board the robot. 2 minutes maximum are given. 1 full reset is allowed. All tasks must be done autonomously without external help. The unknown tasks and factors will be unveiled just before a 30-minute work time. And those include starting location and orientation of the robot, remaining object locations for the junior division only, and possibly some new landmarks may be added for the game ending task. Here we can see how the field is set up. Please note there are 2 starting zones, one by the black target zone, one by the green. Only one will be used each round, and that will be designated during the unveil. And then for junior division, locations C and D, which is the location of the pilings, that will be unveiled before work time, as will the remaining object locations, 5, 6, and 10. For senior, C and D will be unveiled, but 5, 6, and 10 will not be unveiled until after work time and impounding. So for site hosts and judges, so please note that the procedure will be slightly different. For junior division, we'll do the unveil. You can reconfigure the fields, and then proceed with the 30-minute work time and run the rounds without any further modification to the fields. For senior, it'll be slightly more complicated. We'll do the unveil, and then the judges will have to set the location of the pilings that have been unveiled. At that point, 5, 6, and 10 are still unknown. We'll start the 30-minute work time. Teams will just have to guess where 5, 6, and 10 will be. And then after the work time and impounding, the site hosts and judges will unveil the locations of 5, 6, and 10, and then reconfigure the fields to reflect that. And then the rounds can begin. So hopefully that's clear. To kind of go into some more detail about differences between junior and senior, game ending tasks will be possibly harder for senior. As I said previously, the location of objects, everything's unveiled for junior division before work time, and for senior division, the remaining objects are unveiled after work time. The location of the pilings for both divisions unveiled before work time. Number of trash objects is the same for both divisions. That is 6. It's the same as the turtle. Both same for both divisions, which is 4 objects. There's a difference in the allowable number of robot controllers or robot brains. For junior division, only 1 robot brain is allowed. Senior, no limit. And then finally, another difference: vision sensors, which are camera-based sensors, are allowed, or I'm sorry, are not allowed for junior division, but they are allowed for senior division. However, other sensors such as ultrasonic sensors, color sensors, infrared sensors are allowed for all divisions. Here is an example of unknown task and factor sheet that could be unveiled. This is for junior division. First thing to note is the starting location and orientation of the robot. In this example, it specifies the black side starting zone over here. The robot facing west, right? There's a coordinate system, compass. So facing the west edge. Object locations are specified here in the table. Please note the coordinate system. We've got an X, Y, and also a W. The way it works is if there's X and Y, we're measuring X from the west side of the table. Y is always from the south side of the table. For the objects that are on the east side of the table, we're specifying Y and W, W being measured from the east side of the table. And the thought is we want to not have to, measure super long distances. So that's why we introduced the W for the objects on the east side of the table. So that's how the chart works. And then there's going to be a game-ending task specified. In this example, the robot must be stopped with a sensor positioned over the east edge that is north of the green target zone. So we see the diagram. Basically, it's got to be over this edge in the dotted line. So it's really important that the judges, the site hosts, make sure that the participants understand the unknowns. In particular, make sure they understand that they're required to start from the designated start zone, and they are required to start with the designated orientation. However, the end task is not required. If they do it, they'll get some points, but it's not required. Moving on to senior division. This is an example of a similar thing, except for senior division, though, again, the biggest difference is 5, 6, and 10 are not unveiled. So basically all the start task is unveiled, the end task is unveiled, the C and D and locations are unveiled. And as I said before, if you're doing senior division, you would do the unveil, position C and D to the unveiled locations, but not set up 5, 6, and 10 until after impound. Okay, next we're going to go into some specific procedures. Only contestants are allowed in the work areas. That's the pit area, practice fields, etc. When unknown tasks and factors are unveiled, teams will be provided a hard copy, or it will be projected on the screen. Yeah, if you've got the projection device. Teams will be given 30 minutes work time after they're unveiled. Prior to the start, everyone except for contestants and authorized people will be dismissed from the competition areas. You should note that before you start the 30 minutes, it's probably good practice to make sure everything is that's unveiled is set on the tables and checked. And I know that teams tend to be anxious about it, so it's best to kind of keep them away from the pits until everything is ready. During practice time, teams must share the field, so please make sure that they are sharing. All teams must submit their robot to the impound area when the 30-minute time is up. Robots may also be impounded early. Only one team member should deliver the robot to the impound table. And then there may be a penalty if they do not impound on time. During the impounding process, judges will inspect the robots, such things as size, team ID, and front label, number of controllers, etc. No power is supplied in the pit area, and that's basically to try to avoid a lot of cords and having to find outlets and that kind of thing. Teams will compete in a predetermined order decided by the host. During the game rounds, all teams must remain in the team spectator area. No pit access is allowed, right, to kind of guarantee equal time to work on the robots. When a team is called to compete, a maximum of 2 contestants are allowed to retrieve the robot and be present at the field. The rest should be away. The judge or MC will start the round by first checking if the timer is ready, the judges are ready, the teams are ready, and then do a countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. Contestants must stay near the start zone. They should not follow the robot. They can approach the robot only at the end of the run or when the judge tells them, like perhaps if the robot's in trouble and they want to do a reset. Final scoring is done after the run is over. A team member must sign the score sheet to confirm the team's score. Next up, we're going to talk about violations, and these are things that basically stops gameplay. So basically, if it happens that the gameplay stops, which means the robot should be stopped if it's still moving, and immediately they got to decide what to do. So these are the conditions that would cause that. If someone touches the robot or the field material, because once the robot starts moving, the player cannot touch it. If the robot falls off the table, any other illegal activities determined by the judge. Teams are allowed and can request a one-time reset with penalty at any time, or they can declare the end of the round. If a reset is selected, the time continues to run while the judges reset the table. So judges, if they do the reset, try to be efficient because the clock keeps running. Players can call for the end of the round, but should not move the robot until instructed by the judge. If the robot is still moving when the team calls end of the run or at the time limit, then no points will be awarded for the end task, which will require stopping. Okay, next up we have scoring. Objects are considered to be scored in the target zone if any part of the object is touching the target zone or in the airspace above the target zone. This is similar to American football, so a similar type of rule. Objects are considered moved from their location if any part of the location sticker is visible. And that includes objects that are on the robot or on the floor. So we're trying to make it easy to judge. Pilings, the water bottles are considered moved if they are completely out of the water bottle zone, which is shown by the boundary line on the template, or if they are knocked over. So basically, to get the penalty points for water bottles, the robots have the bottles really have to be moved quite a bit. A turtle object is considered on board if the object is not touching or is touching the robot and is not touching anything else other than a turtle or another trash object. So basically, it's got to be off the floor of the playing table. An object can only get credit for one status, and that's basically the one that gives it most points. So if, for example, a turtle is on the robot and the robot is in the target zone, if it's up to 2 can get credit for on board the robot because that's the highest one. Excuse that. Here's the score sheet. It's best probably to go from top to bottom. First, look at the blue blocks. Are any on board the robot? Up to 2 get maximum points. If not, are there any that are in the green zone, basically in the airspace or touching the paper? Same thing with the black zone. And then finally, if objects that aren't in either of them, are there any that are moved from their original location? Similar with trash objects, see how many are in the black zone, either touching the paper or in the airspace above, or in the green zone. And if they're neither of those, see if there are any that are moved from their original location. Pilings, see if there are any outside the piling zone. Game ending mission achieved. Yeah, see if that's true, circle yes, otherwise no. Robot remains intact during the run. Basically, is it still in one piece? If parts are falling off, then that would be no, otherwise yes. And then if a reset was requested, circle yes, it's a 3-point penalty. So total score maximum is 100. And if any teams that do get 100 points, please note the time in seconds, because that will be a tiebreaker. If it's less than 100, you do not need to do the time left. Okay, how to determine winners and tiebreakers. Winners are determined by the average of the rounds. Tiebreakers are determined first by the best score of the 2 rounds. Second tiebreaker is highest time left from the best score, assuming they got a 100. And third, there's a rerun if needed. So in this example, all teams had an average score of 90. So we went to the first tiebreaker, the best score. 2 of them had 100, 1 of them had 90. So Team C with the 90 is third place. And then we'll go to the next tiebreaker, which is the time left. There's more time left for Team A, so they are number 1 in this example. Now, if the time left was the same, then we would have to go to a tiebreaker. Same thing if the best score was tied, but was less than 100 points. Say it was 99 points for A and B, they would time left would not be a factor, so they'd have to go to a rerun. Next up, I want to talk about general rules and restrictions. Proctors are watching for the following violations. Coaches' appearance in the pit area during practice or work time, except for the initial transport of materials. Basically, any inappropriate communication between adults and the teams. Please watch for team members leaving the pit unsupervised before the robot is impounded. It's frequent they have to use the restroom, so just make sure that they're not doing anything improper at that point. Team members altering their robot after impounding. Team members interfering with another team's robot or computer. Destruction of property, use of inappropriate words or behavior. Any violation can result in a deduction of points or disqualification at the judge's discretion. If anyone sees suspicious activities, please notify the nearest volunteer. Spectators are welcome to take pictures, but please do not use flash. Lastly, we have frequently asked questions. What if objects are on the robot when the run ends? All right, so if that's the case, up to 2 turtles are considered on board and you get points. Turtle objects beyond 2 or other objects, they would be considered scored in the target zone if the objects are in the airspace above the target zone. Otherwise, they would be considered moved. Next question, a player failed in starting the robot. Can the player retouch the robot to start? Yes, and this will not be considered a rerun. Next question is, robot is touching objects at the end of the run. Is that okay? Yes, objects will be scored the same as if there was no contact with the robot, so that's okay. Robots, how are robots positioned in the start zone if they are larger than the 25 by 25 start zone? So basically, we want to make sure that they're completely in the, or that parts of the robot may hang over this beyond the start zone, but the footprint of the robot must cover the corner of the table that's in the start zone. So basically we want to make sure the majority of the robot is in the start zone. Says that we're saying we want that southwest corner covered if the robot is larger than 25 by 25. Teams with robots that are within that 25 by 25 can position them as long as the whole thing is in the start zone. Can turtles and trash start in the opposite target zones? Yes, that may happen. Undrilled objects may start anywhere on the table other than the designated start zone, because that's where the robot is. And this includes on top of the piling. So we know that there's going to be at least 1 turtle object on a piling, but there may be turtle objects on other pilings as well. And then finally, objects may also start in the opposite start zone for where they would get maximum points, or possibly even in the correct one. Yeah, so all that's fair game. What if an object is over the location sticker of another object's location at the end of the run? How is it scored? Though this would be unfortunate, the object would not be considered moved if the sticker is not visible. And again, this is to make things easier for the judges to make a call. Does it matter which turtle objects are on the robot or in the target zone? No. So there are 4 turtle objects starting in different locations. Any 2 of them can be in the robot. Any 2 of them can be in the green base for maximum points. What if more than 2 turtles are in a target zone? In that case, 2 of them would be scored in the target zone, and then 2 of them would, and the rest of them would be scored as moved from their original location, because it's a max 2 in the target zone. Is a color sensor needed to sort turtles and trash? No. If you notice, the turtle objects are actually taller than the trash objects, so that can be used to sort. Also, most of them are in known locations, and those locations can be used to help determine, get them to the right target area. What happens if a turtle or trash object comes apart? A scoring object that is not in one piece at the end of the round will not receive credit other than moved. We think this is unlikely, but if it happens, that's how it would be ruled. To get maximum score for turtles, I should put 2 in the green zone and keep 2 in the robot. Yes, that's how to do it. Turtle 9 will always be on the inner north piling, but the piling location will vary. Correct. Turtle 9 will always be on the inner north piling, and the specific location will be unveiled before the work time. Can objects be glued together? No. Objects should stay together in most game situations, but hosts should not glue them together. Is there a minimum distance from the edge of the table to a block? No. In previous years, we've had something similar to that in the rules, but this year the objects can be all the way up to the edge of the table. What happens if a turtle falls off the pilings during play? Yeah, this is fine. It could be actually a strategy to get moved points. So play will continue, and the turtle will be scored based on its final position. Is a bucket allowed to be dropped from a robot and left in the end zone with turtles or trash in it? Yes, this is a valid strategy. A robot can be designed with the bucket that can be dropped off, and it will still receive full points for remaining intact, since it is part of the design. Okay, I believe that is all the questions. If you have questions of your own, please send them to me, Elmer Santos at esantos@ltu.edu. I hope this training has been informative, and I wish all the teams good luck, and the judges and hosts good luck with their tournaments. So thank you, and take care. Bye-bye.